Alright, so the day is finally here. There is a walkthrough for Ali, um, with some unfortunate details that I won't sweep it under the rug, I'll just say it here. This guide is not referential and stuff. I had to, I had to, I had to take some pot shots and stuff, and unfortunately, I mean, clearly all of this is drawing from my formula and stuff, but it's unclear as to how the selection criteria went in a way that's describable. I certainly did use some anti-computer chess in here, meaning just limiting options, basically changing the balance and flexibility of the position by making mobility a sub-priority. And but hey, it resulted in a very clear victory, and the domination there was so clear. And speaking of domination, let's see what Stockfish thinks of the domination. Indexes, exchange intended extreme, 68% accuracy. According to Stockfish's opinion, Black did abysmal actually and stuff. So I certainly did press on a weakness here. Yes, I definitely did attack the balance in flexibility and stuff, because I wasn't even, according to Stockfish, I wasn't even dominating, except score wise. I had I focused on score here and stuff. So this difference in score outweighed all of this. It outweighed the combined difference in domination, and the difference in accuracy and stuff. I guess that's surmisable here, though it's also surmisable that the calculations here are simply inaccurate in terms of the statistics. They just tend to be better than human calculations, so they're reliable. Not definitely, certainly didn't play my best middle game and stuff. I know my best middle game is around 3,000. Opening was abysmal. It doesn't like it just doesn't go lower than 2,000 for this, which is kind of BS. End game 420. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely some anti-computer chess happen here. Yeah, these little 4,000 moments were definitely devastating here. 3974, notable here. Notable. Okay. Huh. Okay, so, oh, and I'll just have to go back to this when I need to go back to it. So, here I start off with the London. See, this is the thing. I wasn't practiced in the London at all, but because of the way my chess formula works, it's transposable to any position. So it didn't matter that I was going into unfamiliar territory and stuff. It just didn't and stuff. So yeah, book moves. Yeah, they can go to hell and stuff. You don't need them. So here, here's basic chess stuff. Trying to first controlling the center by getting a pawn majority in the center, prioritizing development of the pawns first, trying to avoid excessive pawn moves and stuff. However, instead of c4, the computer wanted me to play d4 and stuff, which is actually the thing about d4 and e4 with Ali is that Ali knows d4 and e4 extremely well and stuff. You are going to like it would cost me hours and hours of attention and stuff. I'd rather just take advantage of the fact that he's stupid. So then e4 comes second, but all of a sudden it's so losing, even though Black blundered with e6. Wow. E6 wouldn't even been correct. Yeah, e5. Yeah, no, e5 would have put the game in the bag for Black. So Here d5, trying to contest control of the center. However, and which is, it's still, it's pretty correct. It's correct and stuff. It's even has a negative center pawns, meaning it favors black. However, and stuff, he would have been capturing away from the center. This was not a realizable intent here. And now here he creates an attack magnet for his queen, which just leads to my more efficient development and stuff. Look at this. Look at this. And now, see, with the queen sacrifice, I paid out a queen. I cost him his king side. Doubled pawns. He's going to have double pawns. This is threatening for him to have double pawns in the endgame and stuff. He's developing his rook out of time, which makes his rook a magnet for attack. His rook does not have the initiative. It's just creating a bad rook too at the same time. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of piece activity here. Actually, no. I mean, this opening might be pretty referential and stuff. Yeah, certainly use these ideas for Ali. Why not? I'm pretty sure Stockfish on chess.com would say something positive about it. Here, this bishop is trapping the knight and stuff because I want efficiency. I'll pay out whatever I need to keep initiative in the opening here, which is necessary. I mean, that's how Paul Murphy did it. So hey, here we go. Clean attack from the knight and stuff. The knight is not alone either. It is followed up with this bishop and stuff. This knight can remove the bishop by pressing with this bishop here. That is otherwise kind of eating rocks here, like Lev would say over at Gotham Chess. However, this bishop is more focused on shifting the balance of king's safety. My king is relatively safe because black's pieces are slow here. They're obstructed by pawns and everything. So I could just press on that weakness. And here we go. The king side is done. Bye-bye. But he must react. He must address that and stuff. My piece was in his territory. It's Fisher's rule. He must address it and stuff. However, let's look at what the idea should have been here. Instead of taking, this was actually considered the best move. So basically, I decided this game and stuff. And if I look at the center pawns and stuff, I do a few things to make the position worse, technically speaking, right? Like, for example, with this d3 move, it's supposed to be bishop to d3 and stuff. Key squares tactic, in my opinion. It's called that was supposed to press his queen, which is supposed to force a draw. Exchanging down, because white has the initiative and the queen. No, that's actually not a good position. That's really not. That's an extremely slow position and stuff. And over here, knight should just take that bishop as well, because it doesn't need to deal with that rook and gang of pawns and stuff, and have the queen so unfocused. I think this right here, this position would be the time for anti-computer chess. So going back to showing you how Ali gets destroyed and stuff. So far we're talking about efficiency in the opening and anti-computer chess in the sense of shifting the balance of flexibility of position and demolishing the king side. Pressing on weaknesses here. Here just takes with the pawn. He's willing to pay out king safety instead of just taking back with the bishop and letting the king fight in the endgame. for possibly a draw. Here, this is nonsensical. This is not forcing at all. He should not be attacking with his bishop and stuff. There's nothing that guarantees that idea and stuff. Because I just have pawn takes. And now I have this pawn in the 7th rank, which he must react to and stuff, which is highly disruptive. Now I'm exchanging down and stuff, fighting and stuff, because I see that this pawn right here in the 7th rank outweighs everything and stuff. So I don't mind exchanging. So yeah, with Ali, you have to press and press and press on a focused area, and not try so many different things at once to just generally create pressure. That will certainly kill you. Here, so, you know, disrupting his knights, making them react to my pawns and stuff by threatening to promote. This f6 here was tomfoolery, and like Ali's. So basically, Ali's computer bot falls apart from attempting to do the London. French defense, yeah. Ali doesn't know the French defense very well. I basically took the French defense, and you know, just tried to do my own thing as I understood it instead of like playing a memorized line. Here, you know, I could erase with the pawn there and stuff, but you know, I don't want to risk being betrayed into a draw or a stalemate, so it just ended it right there, mate in 1. I mean, this is a very late checkmate and stuff. You have this black here actually almost wins right here in move 41 and stuff. Looking at this idea, see, black can get 2 queens and stuff based off of my errors. So yeah, no, this guide isn't very authoritative, but yeah, there's certainly something to 1c4 against Ali and stuff. His mind tends to fall apart there. You know, white fights with the king, but black is up material, so all black has to do is just control space and disrupt until the king side is weak, and, you know, fight and capture, try to avoid that draw. A knight and 2 queens. But see, black would go d6 like it did later on, giving overt advantage. Like, see, go over here, goes d7. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of transposability in those ideas there. So going back, oh no, this mate in 36 from here. Here, and then we had this possibility too. Oh wait, no, never mind. We just went over that. So yeah, I guess to teach this effectively, I have to go to where go to c3 right here, basically. C3. No, c3 was just the correct move. So, well, why does c3 win the game and stuff? Well, we could ask ourselves, like, does the static position bear enough of a forecast here? And, well, I mean, there's certainly a lot of variability and stuff. This black's queen is almost trapped. However, if I wanted to take the queen, I could probably use the knight to create a certain threat, like a discovered serious threat that he must answer. If I were to go, bishop to bishop to h6, then he would have to, eventually would castle queenside, which means that all my pieces would be misdirected. So that would be actually a horrible idea. And if I look at the evaluation for that, yeah, bishop h6 is horrible. So basically, I could think of that and think of the opposite idea and stuff. I mean, I could use the g5 square to hop up my knight as well too. Knight g5 is just not coordinated enough, though. Yeah, no, I definitely, my pawns, okay, so I mean, I could just go with where my pawns are pointing to and just, brutally attack this area through just, just press this area, controlling space and stuff like that. That would be the idea. And that would cause, then force a checkmate with a tactical combination. After a tactical combination, that might give me like, a mate in 4-ish sort of scenario. So I think this is why knight c3 wins the game according to Stockfish. Then f7 here. Let's see if there's any points here where I get back the game. So losing. According to this is a great move, but like, it actually, it's a gambit. But see, black's best move. Here we go. Yeah. It's almost, oh yeah, so that's like almost brilliant, So, okay, so yeah, I mean, this can be referential here and stuff. It's, just don't focus more on the content of reference. I would say when it comes to like center pawns and stuff, if you're playing with an evaluation bar or whatever, something like it, or you're trying to think about accuracy and stuff. Yeah. It's chess. Games like chess are more about the content of reference than the terms and numbers used. The numbers are just there as part of a process of making calculations more efficient. Yeah. So black was thinking of doing this, but it didn't see it because it didn't understand this end game. I don't think. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Ali certainly wasn't calculating in real time. I think it was using lookup tables. Forcing mate in 20 here. So I mean, this is all I can say about Ali and stuff. He's a brutally strong player. Brutally strong. Like it seems that he slips past everything. He slips past accuracy numbers, centipawns and stuff. The dude is just. You have to be. You absolutely can't let up and stuff. When those weaknesses show up, you have to press on them. You have to develop efficiently and stuff with the ideally with one c4. Um, and I mean, if you can know the French defense very well, you could probably force a checkmate early. Um, let's see if there's any missed checkmates here. The thing about Ali is that he prevents checkmate a lot, so. So, any other possible checkmates? No, I mean, my my blunder just makes it, according to I just it's so hard to really put my thumb on it stuff. Actually no, I think I'm balancing out how much material I'm using with how aggressively I'm attacking. We definitely limited the options of the computer here a lot. Um, and that's a valid way of dealing with the stronger chess opponents. That yeah. No, it's just a better way to do it. See the off by one error and stuff. D1 would have given me the game. I think the issue here is after E2 leads to H2. Yeah, no, I just permitted black too many options with E2. That was the issue. So yeah, you want to avoid that type of a thing. It's hmm. Wait, hold on. What if I went my D1? See, I was avoiding the check. That's all I cared about. Moves up here to E2. Okay, so basically I hopped a tempo here. That's why. Yeah, no, you definitely have to pay attention to tempo with Ali and stuff because he's an extremely strong player. This D1 line is crazy. I would have tried to avoid these checks because I wouldn't want to lose tempo. However, it would have been a... What's the tactic here? Wait, leaving the rook on pre to promote. Oh my god. This is what I was thinking of too. I don't know why I didn't on pre my rook with an outpost there. I would have promoted. Wait, no, never mind. After yeah, after knight takes, you take back, then promote, and yeah, it's in the bag. I mean, you have this outpost here to go check as well, to disrupt the king's movement and stuff, because you don't want the king combining with pieces in the end game. Um, well, the opponent's king at least. I'm 36. Uh, Black had too few options. You know, he missed the clear win there. But then black doesn't want to give up the initiative either. It just slips out of the attack. However, I think I definitely played the pawns incorrectly here too. H6. However, there's not really a way to weasel out of it. Okay, so I'm going to run this through N croissant and see what else I can say about how to beat Ali. And I'm going to do a quick run through here as we're efficiently opening here, and demolishing the king side. Demolishing the king's defender now that I'm fully extended, and now that I'm fully extended here, I have to transpose for one thing of many. I drop a rook because I want to focus on progress where I've already made a ton of, where I can already make a ton of progress here. Here I'm just fighting and resisting, pressing on weaknesses, because black is completely out of its depth in the 1c4 line. But my formula is transposable to any kind of opening, so, or middle game or end game. It's transposable to any position. So yeah, eventually, despite Stockfish thinking I'm wrong and everything, well, I still won by a huge margin. And I believe by the rule of the box and stuff, yeah, no, my queen covers a first rank anyway, so this pawn doesn't even promote this. Let's call it. My queen just too vastly outperforms that pawn. So going to this computer thinks that with two knights and all these pawns, it has an advantage. Except my rook is on the 7th rank, and my pawns are free. I have paired pawns. Paired pawns beat a rook, so it's like having two rooks against. It's like having 3 rooks against 2 knights, or 2 rooks and a bishop against 2 knights. So hey, so I guess paired pawns can be like a pawn and a rook. Here I'm actually attacking with my rook too. to work with these pawns. If he would ever take my pawn and try this thing of disrupting my pawns and stuff with his knight, I'm just going to take back with the rook. And then he's in real trouble. Yeah. So yeah, I gotta make another episode for this because Ali is too strong of a player to do just one episode on him. It wouldn't do any justice.